I noticed that there was a nasty gap in the model, which was easily filled with both sheet styrene and model putty. And once the putty and styrene had dried, everything was sanded smooth. After the sanding, I decided to add extra detail to this model kit by removing the molded wing lights. The first step was to remove the molded area by using both a hobby knife and a square file. Then the areas were primed in Vallejo acrylic black surface primer. Then a coat of Citadel Stormhorst silver was applied. To make the wing light, a length of clear sprue frame was cut from one of the sides, then measured to fit the dimensions of the gap. And when the piece was cut to length, the piece was attached to the model with Tamiya extra thin cement, with the piece applied with a pair of tweezers and additional cement applied around the edges. After the clear part was completely dry, a small flathead file was used to shape the part to the shape of the wings. After I was satisfied with the filing, the area was sanded smooth with a bit of 1000 grit sandpaper. Then a bit of 2000 grit sandpaper was used to remove the fine scratches. After sanding, it was a matter of polishing the wing lights to restore the opacity of the clear parts. This was an easy fix by using a Ammo Mig 4000 polishing stick, and once the polishing was done, I then had a nice clear pair of wing lights. As for the wingtip lights, it was a much easier process by adding drops of Mod Podge gloss glue, by applying multiple layers of glue with plenty of drying time between each coat. And finally, I added a piece of 0.5mm brass rod with superglue, thus making the tail antenna, which was missing from the kit. And with the assembly done, it was time to paint the model. The camouflage pattern was drawn onto the model with a pencil. referring to the shape of the pattern by looking at the painting instructions located off camera, and once I was satisfied by the look of the pattern, it was time to paint the green camouflage bands by first applying a layer of flat green paint mix, which was heavily thinned down with acrylic paint thinners. After the black green mix was dried, a thin layer of flat dark green was brushed over the bands by first applying the paint with a small round-head paintbrush around the edges of the green paint bands, with the centre of the bands painted with a small flathead paintbrush. I also used a small round-head paintbrush with flat earth paint to clean up the edge of the camouflage bands. Then I applied highlights onto the paintwork by first using a yellow and dark green paint mix, with the highlights being applied on top of the fuselage and wings using both a small round head paintbrush and a flat head paintbrush. Once dried, a flat earth and yellow mix was applied in the same way. Once the painting of the model was completed, it was time to mask off the tail and wings for the painting of the white bands, using various sizes of masking tape. And off camera, I spray painted the model with 2 coats of Tamiya matte white spray paint. After a day of drying, the masking tape was removed, revealing a nice set of white bands. However, some of the paint did leak underneath the tape, which required touching up the paint work with both the green and flat earth colours. Then it was time to finish the painting of all the smaller pieces on the sprue frame. The fuselage decals came printed as one piece, with both the roundel and serials joined together. I found it was easier to cut the decal in half, which made the decal much easier to apply on the fuselage. After the decals were applied, it was time to finish the assembly of the model. After gluing a length of rigging thread to the radio antenna, this model was completed. And with that, so is this video. Thank you for watching, and good luck with all your ongoing projects. Here it is, the completed model.